GM friends, thanks for joining DeFi-Logic Symposium Sunday, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. As a member of the DeFi-Logic server, you can join our call every week and discuss in real time. Link is in the description below. DeFi-Logic is the crypto think tank for better decisions. In today's community call, we'll review daily reports covering the impact of foreclosures and rising interest rates for FA Friday, Aerodrome project and the AERO data insights for a weekly dose theme, and weekly market callbacks with Eddie. Also, discussion from GForce about war, inflation, and upcoming election. What does that mean for the market? And let's get started. We'll bring up O'Breezy and Pepe for a discussion on the impact of foreclosures and rising interest rates. All right, gentlemen, over to you.
Hi, good evening. So, where I started off with was pointing out U.S. economy is based on 15 to 18% real estate, or 15 to 18% of the economy is based on real estate. And while foreclosures have actually hit annually, we are seeing a sharp uptick for the month of February compared to last year. And this actually lines up with a lot of government-backed mortgages. Some of the rules have changed where now there is an additional 60-day extension before the foreclosure process can be begun. So what we're seeing, it seems like foreclosures are starting to uptick. And when you look at household debt is starting to skyrocket, it shows that the middle class is starting to feel it. And I think as we get closer to election or even after the election, we'll see. We're going to see this start to come to a head. There's been a lot of efforts from politicians that have been putting this on the back burner, just like with foreclosures with the extra 60 days. Utility companies in most states now have to give another 20-day extension before they can start disconnecting service. This is to allow people to reach out to like the LIHEAP government funds for low-income individuals to help them with the bills. So we're seeing the middle class starting to get squeezed. People are feeling uncomfortable about getting into the market. I think we're going to start seeing closer to the election or even shortly after it, the impacts of all this.
Yeah, 100%. I have a little bit of a theory that I was talking about, it was yesterday too, that let's say that everything's fine, it continues forever, rent keeps going up, okay, food keeps going up. Here's the thing, right? If you have like a town or a city that's like smaller, right? It's not like San Diego or New York or Atlanta, something like that. But I think that what I'm about to explain also applies in that regard, probably less. But I think in smaller areas where maybe you have a smaller town or a smaller city that's not as, connected to other places, there's a lot of industry, right, behind restaurants and entertainment and et cetera, breweries, blah, 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 blah. If rent keeps going up, food keeps going up, and that's all that people can spend their money on, you're going to see a lot of businesses start to slow down and probably close down, right? This can't go on forever, even though people, in my view, at least, it can't go on forever. There has to be some correction, right? If that did keep going on the way that it would keep going on, to all these real estate people that are like, no, man, they're just going to keep buying up the houses and increasing the rent. People can only pay so much, you know what I mean, for rent. They can only pay so much for carrots. So at a certain point, it's not going to work out.
There is an argument to be made for that. Some states, some cities are starting to look at paying around $1,400 to $1,500 per migrant that's put up in a property. So we have big companies come in, buy up a bunch of 3-4 bedroom homes, and you're getting $1,400 per migrant that you house in the property. There is a huge business model there. And keep in mind, this is money backed by the government. You're going to get this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that, but even still, that has limitations, and that's going to kill the local economy too, because how much money does a migrant really have in that situation to go pay for a few beers and a hot dog and a burger at the local establishment?
Oh, no. I'm talking about with property values. No, the migrants have that money. Yeah. I'm saying the property owner, it does incentivize people to own properties. You divide up a 3-bedroom house, you house 3 people for $1,400 a month. You're looking at, what's that, $42,000 or $4,200 a month return on that property?
Yeah, for sure. But overall, I don't see the real estate market being sustainable the way that it is. There's just too many factors all over the place that indicate to me that there needs to be a correction. And if they don't allow that correction to happen, the consequences economically are going to be disastrous. There's no other way to put it.
Oh yeah, that is the most likely way, in my opinion, too. I was just pointing out devil's advocate for you.
For sure. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it on this week's FA Friday.
Thank you, gentlemen. Over to you, Trill, for our weekly report.
All right, so I'll go ahead and start with the Nansen dashboard here for Aerodrome, and you can see the 24-hour net flows is just barely positive, and net negative withdrawals and deposits from exchange by almost $500,000. Fully diluted valuation, a fairly new token that just launched 8 months ago, even though there wasn't much price action until looks like about 2 months prior. And if we take a look at some of the buyers from the past week, we can see here there was this one labeled Token Millionaire, and they currently have about $10,000 worth of AERO, and they're mostly holding stables and ETH. And then if we look at a couple other ones, you can see this one here has about $20,000 worth of AERO, and then a healthy amount of wrapped ETH, and then some degen, Ethereum, and a couple other meme coins. And this other one too has about the same makeup, some $100,000 worth of AERO, and then again some degen, USDC, ETH, or some random meme coins. And then if we go check on the balances here, we see top balances are the Aerodrome Finance, the voting escrow, the multi-sig, and then the various Token Millionaire addresses, which a lot of these could be either exchange hot wallets or cold wallets. And then look at the distribution here. It's a little bit skewed, obviously, towards the Aerodrome Finance voting escrow, and then mostly liquidity pools and the multi-sig addresses. So we see about 68, almost 69% of all of the tokens are owned by 19% of the addresses, and they've been holding for 90 days or longer. And if we look at the top exchanges here, we can see majority of it is obviously Aerodrome, since they are what's called the automated market maker and basically the central liquidity hub for the entire Base chain, pretty much the Uniswap of Base. And we can see that also have a good amount on Gate.io, and surprisingly Coinbase is under them, and then BitGet, KuCoin, and then some on Uniswap as well. So we see there's currently 680 million total tokens on the exchange, with the total supply being almost 69% of the total supply being on the exchanges. And if we look at the smart money holdings here, we can see currently there's about 49 smart money holders holding about 1.1 million tokens. And if we look at some of the top balances here, you can see the top one here is labeled Arfington on OpenSea, and they currently hold about $500,000 worth of AERO, and then a little bit of some other token called FriendPet. And then looking at this one here, we see it's a Smarter LP on Phantom. They hold about $280,000 worth of AERO, some DOG, and that's about it. And then if we look at the actual Aerodrome website, so we see there's two options here. There's the swap, which is pretty much the token swap, and then the liquidity, where you can basically deposit into a liquidity pool to hopefully earn some incentives. And if we sort here by APR, we can see the top one here offering 561% APR, which is the AMM and wrapped ETH and WELS pool. Just keep in mind these rates fluctuate like on a daily, even hourly basis. So just because it's offering 561% APR right now, it doesn't mean you're going to be getting that tomorrow or even later tonight. So just be aware of the impermanent loss that you could face on some of these liquidity pools. But we can see here, Aerodrome currently has $782 million of TVL, and the current volume at 198 million, and they currently have 119 tokens listed. So we can actually view the tokens that they have available here, and it shows us the price per token. And then there's even an option to list the token. If you have your own token that you want to list on Base, then this would be where you would go to create a new liquidity pool for that token. All right, and that's pretty much it for me. So if Trill wants to go ahead and go over some of the other token info.
Aerodrome itself was created by Velodrome, which is of Solid, which is on the Phantom blockchain, which was inspired by Curve Finance and Olympus DAO. Yeah, it's like a long chains of blockchain in general. Some things tend to be forks of one another's or projects inspired by others, but Aerodrome is closely related to Velo, so it has a lot of the same features. But at the end of the day, Velodrome is meant to mainly support will support optimism and the growth of the optimism chain. And Aerodrome is, like Sloth stated and initially stated, is meant to support the growth of which is Coinbase's layer 2 chain. And Aerodrome takes, or at least the features that it takes from Velodrome, which took from Curve and Olympus DAO, was the voting escrow that Sloth mentioned, which is to be able to get even the voting tokens, which is AERO. You have to lock your AERO, and the proportion or the amount that you received, the AERO, is proportionate to the locking period. I don't know. Just a little depiction. It did say something. Oh yeah. Yeah. You can see, I don't know. It looks like this is as far as the year. If you were to have 100 AERO locked, you would get 25 AERO. I don't know if this rate changes, but this is their distribution of their voting token. As you can, see, in 4 years, you pretty much get a complete, what's the word? I guess you get or for as many AEROs you have, you would get as many voting power. As far as the supply of the token, AERO, only 40 supply was, I said 40, only 50 million tokens was initially set to be available to the liquid market, and then 450 was locked. As far as the method that they will be using to unlock, 40% was distributed to the holders of Velo, the believers and the voters of the Velodrome platform. Since Aerodrome was closely tied to Velodrome, Aerodrome believed that people that had strong, or that had belief in their project that they were stemmed from, would at least want to see growth for the new project, at least, which is Aerodrome. And how they describe Aerodrome is a business application layer. Basically the same thing that Sloth said, the central hub for base. But I don't like the fancy word of saying it, but as to further explain that, the business application layer is not only supposed to be this liquidity hub, but also foster the growth of other tokens on base. And then as far as this, shows at least what was allocated. It was 500 million of the total supply, and like I said, 40. And out of that 450, 40% was given to the Velo holders. Slav mentioned some of the current distribution as far as the liquid supply. And another thing to mention is the AERO is actually an NFT instead of just like a regular basic token. But that's all really to talk about on the technical side, because Aerodrome is very new. It is separated from Velodrome, even though it takes a lot of features from Velodrome as far as potential growth. It's got to follow base. It's meant to support base. Just Uniswap supports Ethereum. That's pretty much all I really have to say.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned in the write-up that Velodrome, which is what Aerodrome was based off of, was like initially a fork of Solidly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm not sure if Aerodrome is associated with that as well, but basically for people who don't know, Solidly is basically a DEX model. It's basically a way to create like a capital efficient DEX, and basically it improves upon like the currently existing AMMs, and it uses some features of what we know from the Olympus DAO as far as the 3 incentive layer, and it builds off of that to make it more capital efficient. And then going a little off topic here, but then Solidly with the new update actually has some MEV resistant properties as well. So it'd be interesting to know if Velodrome and Aerodrome follow in the same footsteps.
Yeah, they definitely initially took the concepts from there as far as the way they plan on taking the platform. They'll gotta wait and see, because Aerodrome just launched August 28th of the year. But this was what I was trying to mention before as far as the initial distribution. Those you had 50 million airdrop to the Velo, this is the other 450 million out of the total supply of the entire 500 million. And this is the makeup of that other 450. And this is the current liquid supply, just that 50. But yeah, Slav touched on some of the history, because Velodrome is a fork of a project from Phantom, solidly. And as far as the potential for Aerodrome, you want to keep up with Coinbase, which do have a lot of capital. Potential is definitely there. You just want to keep a close an eye, obviously, if you're investing.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for that write-up. I'm still reading through the write-up, which is in the Discord. So definitely, if you want the full write-up from Sloth and Trill, feel free to pop in the Discord. They have it posted there, and they're always around to answer some questions. So thank you guys this week. If you're enjoying this video, give us that thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more crypto trading and overall market content. And with that, we'll pop into some weekly market callbacks with Eddie.
All right, so most of the stuff I was looking at Tuesday didn't come back all the way to the pullback zones I wanted, besides Chain Factory. So I figured, why not look at this some more, since it's actually looking really good. It's exactly what you want to see out of a low cap. When we first checked this out on Tuesday, which I think was this big candle. Let me double check my dates. No, it was inside of this candle when we looked at it. It's pretty clear that it was going to sell off, right? We're pretty up at the high still, and it just looked toppy. And it did top. I was unsure if we'd get just this one to hold, or I believe it was like just slowly DCA into this box and then go heavy if you get down here. And it barely tagged this one, which is like really bullish price action. I think this is exactly what we want to see out of a low cap coin. It's holding the daily order block. It's looking super good right now. Obviously, with these low caps, you shouldn't, you shouldn't count this level out by any means, because somebody could just dump their whole bag and send it there. So if you do, this is still the gift. But other than that, everything is looking pretty good here. So we'll leave it like that, and we'll check out some more stuff on Tuesday.
Perfect. Thank you, Eddie. And I'll pop into TA Tuesday here in the Discord. And now we'll move over to GForce, and he'll give us a little discussion on war, inflation, and upcoming election. What does it all mean, GForce? Let us know.
Okay, Christine. Thanks. We're going to look at it, and war, inflation, and election. I first started the year out with the election and inflation, and now that we got Israel and Iran going at each other, it's a little bit more scary. The markets are going all over the place, and the S&P 500 dropped 100 points this past week, and it went below the 5,000 level. So I did a Stock Saturday write-up on war, inflation, and election. I started the first of the year with the election, and then went to inflation because it keeps persisting. It's now sticky, according to the Feds and all the experts. And now we're at war with Israel and Iran going at each other. So what happened this past week, the S&P dropped 156 points and it closed below the 5,000 level. The drop happened in 3 weeks, which is pretty quick. So I'll show you the chart here as well. You can see that it just had, after the double top, it just kept dropping down past the 5,200 level. Then we went to the 5,100 level. And then this week, it just tanked with what's going on between Israel and Iran. On a look at this is that I had this gap way back here on February 21st and the open on February 22nd that just gapped up. And you see how the markets kept climbing and climbing, forming a double top way up here at 52, 53. And I was worried about this gap, like how is this gap going to get filled in? This week, last week, Friday and Thursday, the gap got filled in. This Israel-Iran situation has brought the market all the way back down to fill in that gap. So I can now turn this into a purple rectangle and a gap because all these other purple gaps here have been filled in, as you can see. So getting back to what's going on is that the market's going to get hit with a lot of things, and it already has. So now we're looking at gold prices that are out of sight. It's going to pop up above 2,400, and I don't see anything in a conclusion to all this. I'm trying to find a conclusion to all this, and I don't think this year we're going to have a conclusion. Even after the presidential election, I think there's going to be major issues back and forth. And I know that we talked about if the economy is strong, is working, why is gold rocketing like crazy if Bidenomics is working? So I'll show you a chart on gold real quick, and you can just see how parabolic it is. And gold basically tells the story. You can see this is March 1st, and it's just a little bit above 20. And it just climbed up. Now it's approaching 2,400. It will close at 2,400 at some point next week or the following. So I think we're in for a rough ride for the rest of the market and the rest of the year. And there's only going to be new things that are coming down the pike. And as we know, market does not like uncertainty. Okay, I'll hand it back over to you, Christine. Thank you.
Thank you, GForce. And that's it for this week. As a DeFi-Logic server member, you'll discuss markets daily and ape coins and trade with other members. Astrobit 2.0 is live, and our Bitcoin, ETH, and Doge strategies are now in beta testing. Join our server now. Early members get free server access for life and future discounts on additional products and services. See you next Sunday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. GN friends.
Join us next week in Discord for Symposium Sunday at DeFiLogic.com.